Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Miist back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video. Going to be talking about every movie and TV show I watched last week, which is actually going to be missing a day. It's actually only Monday to Saturday this week for you guys, because Sunday, at the time of recording this technically, it is currently 2:01 a.m. on October 12th. Mel and I have a flight in 10 and a half hours to Ontario to visit my parents for 5 days. So we're going to be there from October 12th to October 18th. I guess 6 days. So yeah, looking forward to that, and obviously not going to be here on Sunday or Monday to record. So happy early Thanksgiving to all you Canadians out there. And yeah, I mean, let's get into it. Like I said, we're going to be missing a day, so we'll add Sunday into next week's video. But let's get into it. We got two TV shows watched last week, starting it off with my least favorite of the two, which is Marvel Zombies, which I did mention last week, but I never finished it, so I ended up watching that last episode and finishing it this week on Monday, and I enjoyed it. I think really my only gripe with this show that I can think of is I wish the animation was better. I personally don't like the Marvel animation style of animation, and I wish it was different, especially considering there's some really good moments of animation throughout the last two episodes. There's just these giant wide shots of amazing, gorgeous animation, and then we see a character and it just looks bad again. I just don't like it, and I don't think many people like it, to be fair, but yeah, that's really my only gripe with it. Overall, I think it's actually a pretty solid show, and I enjoyed it, so dub. Let's move on to my favorite watch of the week for TV, which was Season 2 of The Mandalorian, which is something I've been trying to show Mel, but she's really had no interest in because she gets too anxious when seeing Grogu on screen. And yeah, anyways, I showed her really the important things and the end of the series, or the end of the season as well. To be honest, I started watching The Mandalorian this time around because I was showing Mel Star Wars, but I don't think I'm going to watch Season 3, and I've never watched Season 3. I think I'm going to wait till next year when I plan on going through each and every Star Wars project from start to finish in timeline order next year by myself. So then I think that's when I'll watch Season 3 of Mandalorian, right before the movie comes out. But yeah, ultimately I think that's a good shout for me, and we'll wait till then. Anyways, Season 2 of Mandalorian, really great. Personally, I don't enjoy it as much as the first season. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. I think some people probably do enjoy the second season more, but I think the first season is better, and yeah, enjoy them both nonetheless. Alright, let's get into the movies for the week, starting it off with my least favorite, which is Diary of the Dead, which is a George A. Romero film, which is something I've been wanting to watch for a long time as well as last week's George Romero movies, because again, kind of similarly to last week, I carried on my Betty is going ham out there. I don't know if you can hear that. She is meowing. Anyways, again, I kind of carried on my theme from last week of zombie movies, kind of brought that over to this week, and I don't think I'm done yet. I'm still really interested in watching some more zombie movies, but anyways, Diary of the Dead, truthfully, I think there's an interesting bit of Romero commentary and Romero flair in this movie, but I really just can't stand the dialogue in this movie. It is absolutely atrocious. It's one of the worst, like, just from top to bottom, whether it's line deliveries, whether it's the writing, whether it's our characters giving these absolutely awful fucking sentences that no one would ever say. Yeah, this was a hard one to watch just because of the dialogue. The found footage is okay. It's fine. It never really does anything for me, but it was fine. I ranked that as 39 out of 100, so that was my least favorite of the week. Let's move on to Twist, or Twixt. But technically, I should say, I watched Betwixt Now and Sunrise, the authentic cut, which I guess is a Francis Ford Coppola director's cut. I'm not really sure. If you know the difference between them, please let me know. Overall, I thought this movie was okay. I ranked it a 56 out of 100. It's got a very distinct style, which is quite unique compared to Francis Ford Coppola, I find, although it does kind of give off Bram Stoker's Dracula, which, fair enough, I guess. And, yeah, it was okay, just not something I loved. 56 out of 100. Let's move on to Something Wicked This Way Comes, which I ranked a 61 out of 100. Overall, kind of like a decent horror mystery, but I never really feel like, I don't know, I feel like the ending never really, not even really the ending, I don't know, it's just kind of the last like half of the movie I just didn't really love as much as the first half. I was really enjoying the first half, and I just kind of like mellowed out, I find, towards the end. It never really hit anything too special for me, I guess, so, which is fine, it happens. Anyways, I thought this is a decent movie nonetheless. Ranked it a 61 out of 100. Let's move on to Host, which is a very COVID movie. If you've ever seen it, you know. The 5 to 6 people on a Zoom call meeting, the mask whenever you see them, the social distancing, the elbow taps. It's just all kind of a funny... No, I shouldn't say it's funny. It's definitely not really a funny movie, but anyways, I just love the nature of this film, I think, because it's a short 56-minute thrill ride, I guess. It's literally like 55 and a half minutes. There's only like 25 seconds of credits, which is pretty insane. Anyways, yeah, you know, Rob Savage definitely has a little bit of sauce here in this film. I think although I never really felt too frightened within this movie, I really enjoyed it, and I thought there was some nice thrilling moments, and it was just kind of interesting. And again, it's obviously from that, you know, that camera, that social media, I don't know, perspective, I guess. I'm trying to think what's like a right word, or the correct way to describe this. I don't really know. Anyways, I rate this as 63 out of 100. Thought it was decent. Let's move on to The Return of the Living Dead, which I ranked a 74 out of 100, which is a really funny zombie comedy horror film, which I would really recommend, because the start of this movie is kind of leaning more towards, well, for like a very short portion of the opening of the film, I'm like, oh, so this is a spoof. And then not long after that, I'm like, oh wait, maybe this is kind of like decent, and this is actually kind of horror. And then for the next part of the movie, it definitely kind of goes back more to that like comedy side of things. And then the end actually felt a little bit more thrilling than I expected. But overall, I had a really good time with this. I think it's really funny, and I would definitely recommend this. This is a big franchise. If you want to watch the franchise, go ahead. I don't think I'm going to watch them, but nonetheless, I enjoyed this movie, and I love that the zombies are literally just shouting out brains. It's just one of my favorite things from this movie. It's just really funny, and I really enjoyed it. Ranked it a 74 out of 100. Let's move on to another theme of the week, which was Tron, which I ranked a 77 out of 100. I haven't rewatched this in a really long time. Truthfully, I don't remember what I had this ranked. I probably should have checked. But I also had it at a 3.5 star, I believe. So I don't think... Sorry. Oh, fuck. I don't think my rating really changed a whole lot from when I first watched this years ago, back in, I believe, 2022, maybe 2023. But yeah, ranked this a 77 out of 100. I had a really good time with it. Let's move on to Dawn of the Dead, which again, one of my themes of the week is zombie films, and this is probably one of the better ones I've seen. Shout out Zack Snyder. We have a pretty awesome opening scene. We definitely get to see Zack Snyder a little bit more in his horror bag, but we definitely get some of that Zack Snyder flair, which I personally love. It's not for everyone, and I know that, but I personally really enjoyed it, and I thought this kind of I think his skill and his flair brought out the best of this movie, and I really enjoyed it. And read my review, but like I said, as I've been going through zombie movies over the past couple weeks, I've been really like into the zombie lore, I guess, right now, and I loved Call of Duty Zombies when I was growing up. It was my favorite game mode in every COD, and I just, yeah, man, I love zombies. And the two buses in this movie really remind me of the transit bus, and I've convinced myself that this is where the inspiration came from for the transit bus, because this is literally, it just looks pretty much identical. Anyways, really enjoyed this. Ranked it an 80 out of 100. Let's move on to Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, which Mel and I had a back-to-back of Harry Potter last night, and we watched Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince back-to-back, which Half-Blood Prince is a movie that has changed in rankings every time I've watched this movie. When I first watched it, I ranked it a low to mid 80s, I believe. Like, I want to say probably like an 83, 84 maybe. And then last year, last year when I watched it with some friends and Mel, we watched it and I lowered it to a 73, so quite a big drop. And then this time, I raised it up to an 81. This is a lot better than I remembered it, and I think that's kind of the downfall of, watching these Harry Potter movies over the span of like 3 or 4 months, I believe. I don't even remember. It took us a long time to get through the Harry Potter films with our friends, just because, we couldn't always hang out. Schedules didn't match sometimes. It was hard to get together. I'm sure you all know that. But nonetheless, it was nice to revisit it. And again, it's nice to revisit it all in a shorter span. I'm still upset we didn't get to finish Harry Potter this week. And I'm even more upset. Well, maybe not more upset, but I am also still very upset we didn't get to finish it all in 1 week like I was really hoping. Because again, I wanted to just watch these 8 movies back to back to back if possible. But yeah, anyways, rank this an 81 out of 100. Shout out Half-Blood Prince. Let's move on to Order of the Phoenix, which I ranked an 81 out of 100 as well. I think these two are pretty much interchangeable. I feel like most people would probably consider them the filler, episodes, they would, as some people would say. I definitely seen that in some of the letterbox reviews, so if you think that way, fair enough. I don't really care. I personally really enjoy both these movies, and yeah, they're both better than Chamber of Secrets, so slay. 81 out of 100. Let's move on to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was my first Quentin Tarantino movie, which I watched years ago, back in 2022. It's definitely, I'd say, probably been over 3 years at this point. I can't imagine it was the later end of 2022, but nonetheless, this is a movie I've been thinking about a lot, kind of this summer and the past couple of months of the early fall, or the fall, I guess I should say, and it's something I've been wanting to rewatch, so yeah, and I'm finally putting it on. Ranked it an 84 out of 100, which I did lower it from an 89 out of 100. And this is a good thing for me because there's so many movies from all of 2022 whenever I started ranking movies, I guess the later half of it. And then 2023, probably the first half of it. I feel like my ratings between that year and a half-ish is just quite random. I feel like I didn't really... this is going to sound weird. I didn't really hone my craft. I didn't really hone my skills in ranking movies yet. And although I still don't feel like I really have, but I feel like if I were to rewatch some of these movies, I might have a better or more accurate rating to how I feel about them. Because sometimes I look at a rating, I'm like, that makes no fucking sense. I definitely don't like that more than that. Why the fuck is that higher? And that's sorry. And that's a big reason why I want to rewatch movies from that year, like I said, that I watched a couple of years ago, because there's so many movies that I think my rating might be inflated or deflated, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, I rate this an 84 out of 100. I thought it was a great movie. And let's move on to my favorite of the week, which is Tron Legacy, which I really love this movie. I did originally have this movie at a 94 out of 100, which again, in that year span I watched, so it's probably a little highly overrated, but I still really enjoy this movie. Ranking at an 87, it's my favorite of the week, and truthfully, I would say I don't know how I'm feeling about Tron Ares. I haven't watched it yet. I was going to this week, decided not to. I think I might go see it in Screen X at my local Cineplex in Ontario when I'm visiting my parents, because that looks like a lot of fun, and that might make me enjoy the movie more. So, we'll see. Anyways, follow me on Letterboxd if you don't already, link in the description. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Hope you enjoy. Sorry I'm so tired. We were just at a wedding for the past 6 hours. I'm fucking ready for bed. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Hope you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.